Hey everyone, my name is David Dunbar, or the Theme Park Evangelist. You know what's really awesome about working on a holiday? Not everybody, of course, likes working on a holiday, but it's the fact that when you've been with a company long enough normally, you get holiday pay, and of course, you get the overtime pay for working on the holiday. Well, that's my case today. So, a year ago, wow, my voice just cracked there really bad. A year ago today, I was living in northern Kentucky, of course, and I was watching the Passion Conference with my mom. Well, the Passion Conference last year was live because there was no, um, major issue of the pandemic yet. Yes, the pandemic had hit, but it was still being condensed in China at the time, and that's the reason why Passion was able to meet physically last year. Now, this year, they decided to meet on New Year's Eve of 2020, so technically it was last year. And now it's all recorded and you can watch it whenever you want for the next month or so. So I figured the next time I get some free time, I'll try to watch it little by little. But at least everybody that was supposed to be there already came out and came together, recorded every single little bit of it, and they live streamed the entire thing, and now it's available for you to watch whenever you want. So that's kind of cool how they did it, and I'm sure I'll be available on YouTube as well. But unfortunately, these days we can't really meet physically until we get everything controlled, and if we do like have anything that's meeting in person, it's got to be very limited. But yes, I started. Well, I should say I was officially with Meyer for over a year by July of last year. And when I did hit that 1 year, it was a big deal because not only did I get over 40 hours of pay time off, but I also qualified for holiday pay for every single major holiday that Meyer pays you for. So this is one of those days that I now get holiday pay for, whether I work it or not. And because I am working today because I chose to, I also get wow, I get overtime pay as well. I'm not just tongue tied today, but I need something else to drink as well because my throat seems like it's really dry, and I think a lot of it has to do with this weather. It's been raining a lot here today. But speaking of holidays, as you guys know, last week was Christmas Day, and because it was Christmas Day, I figured I would tell you guys a Christmas story, not a Christmas Story the movie. So, this is a Disney version of a Christmas Story, and it involves me because it's, the Theme Park Evangelist YouTube channel. So, a couple of years ago, I believe it was in 2017, if I'm not mistaken, and it was actually, now that I think about it, I got a chance to experience working my very first Christmas Day. Now, keep in mind, I've only been working since 2012, so we're looking at 9 years to September that I've been working. And I had always gotten Christmas Day off, excuse me, every single year up until 2017. And I got some weird looks when I was telling people I'm not going to have Christmas Day off this year. And they were like, really? Why? And, excuse me, I was like, because I'm working at Disney. They're like, well, that's your problem. Then I think is kind of the comments I got. I was like, well, that's rude. And I'm like, well, okay, whatever. So, I show up to the Magic Kingdom on Christmas Day. And I don't know how the very next year I had a short shift on Christmas Day, but, it is what it is. But one thing that surprised me about working Christmas Day back in 2017 was A, how long it was, B, how busy it was, and C, the fact that I got double time. Well, I ended up figuring out that I think I worked like 5 days previously or something like that, and that was like my sixth day in a row. So it kind of makes sense on the long run. So, I show up and we were at like capacity by 10 in the morning. So, Magic Kingdom's capacity without any physical limitations or without, have we're talking like before the pandemic. We're talking normal capacity for Magic Kingdom is 100,000. Now, these days you would not see that. I think capacity for the Magic Kingdom currently is maybe 50,000, which normally that's the capacity for Hollywood Studios. I think maybe 60,000, but at least 50,000. So, things are very different these days. But yes, 100,000 is quite a bit for Magic Kingdom. Epcot's capacity is probably 130,000. I said I think though. I know that Epcot is currently going through a lot of construction, so Epcot's might even be less than Magic Kingdom's now. But it's hard to say. But even Magic Kingdom's capacity is pretty tight for 100,000. Like it, you really feel squeezed in there. So I spent the first half of my day over at Tomorrowland Speedway. Well, when you're working at Tomorrowland Speedway on Christmas Day, the only time it's really going to affect you is when you're A at FastPass, B at Grader, and C at End of Line Grader. So let me kind of go over all that. So when I was over at FastPass, you're going to have people flooding right in, and you're going to have people that are going to try to sneak through FastPass when they don't belong there. And you're going to try to get them to leave, and you're going to have fights with them. Then when you're at Grader, you're going to have like a million questions fired at you all at once, and you're going to have to try to answer every single question as fast as best you can. And then, of course, End of Line Grader is a position that's only pulled by the computer whenever it's busy. And you're basically standing there holding a sign that says End of Line starts here. Otherwise, you're acting as a person that can answer any questions that anybody has. And when you work at Disney, you're supposed to know everything. You just keep that mindset whenever you work at Disney. You're supposed to know everything. Obviously, we're not God, but just pretend you do anyway. Like, pretend you know everything. And we all know that nobody can be God. And you can say all you want, I can be God. Well, no, you can't, because you can't make the universe just spawn from nothing. And only God can do that. But anyway, besides the point, a lot of people just like to come to Disney and think, oh, I'm in a magical place, and all these people have to know everything because they work for Disney. So it's kind of fun. You get all kinds of interesting questions, and of course, you're standing at an online grader. And the one thing that made me nervous at an online grader, which I don't know why this made me nervous, the line would keep stretching it towards Storybook Circus, which used to be Toontown Fair, and the only good thing about the costume I was wearing, which of course is the Tomorrowland Speedway costume, because of its design, you technically can get away with wearing it into Fantasyland, like a bit of Fantasyland, because Tomorrowland Speedway is one of those futuristic but Fantasylandish or fantasy-ish attractions. It's always, let me start over. Tomorrowland Speedway was one of those attractions that Walt designed back in 1971 that kids always dreamed of being able to ride their car, but I guess the futuristic part of it is I'm not 100% sure about that one. I'm guessing the fact that cars are the future and all that, but at the same time, they're something we all were driving back in the 1920s and 30s, so it's hard to say. And um, I think at one point Walt was thinking about putting it in Fantasyland, and I think that's why it ended up between Tomorrowland and Fantasyland, because of the fact that of its design more so than anything. So that's probably why the cast members that work at that attraction can get away with walking a little further into Fantasyland, And another thing that was fun about working at Tomorrowland Speedway, because of where we were, as long as we were covered up, or as long as it was early enough, we could actually get away with walking through Storybook Circus to get on the bus. Now, I hated getting on the bus at Storybook Circus. It was basically the bus stop was right behind Storybook Circus. And the reason why is because if it was busy enough, the bus was practically full by that point, and if you did manage to get on, you were squeezed in pretty hard, so or pretty tight. So I would rather go down the rabbit hole, as we put it, and walk through the utilidors and then get on the bus there versus getting on at Storybook Circus. I don't know. That was just me, though. I was like, really? Do I really want to do this? And I think there was only a few times where I actually got on the bus there. But hey, I never told guests up until now that there is a bus behind Storybook Circus, nor do I want any guests to get on a bus there because it's useless to them. It won't take them back to their car. It only takes cast members back to their cars. And besides, I won't tell you exactly where it is. I just gave you a general idea. And, it still hurts. And some people that I worked with at Magic Kingdom said, they still miss it being Toontown Fair. I think in our hearts, it's still Toontown Fair. And I don't know why they had to go and change it. Because Walt intended for Toontown Fair to be Toontown Fair, not Storybook Circus. And that was actually part of my orientation, was to go to Storybook Circus. And, I don't know. It was just not the same. But yes, I would say the easy part of my shift working on Christmas Day was definitely working at Tomorrowland Speedway. Then, of course, halfway through the day, I got a little slip of paper saying it is time for you to bump out or whatever. So I went back to the computer and it basically gave me permission to be done with my shift at Tomorrowland Speedway. So then I had to go into the heart of Tomorrowland. Now you are allowed to go through all of Tomorrowland in that same costume. You don't have to change out of it or anything. You still have to stay in your costume. And at this point, you no longer are working at Tomorrowland Speedway. So if you did happen to bring like a change of shoes with you, as long as it was work appropriate, you could wear those. It had to be black though. So I just was like, well, I'll just stay in these. And I remember it was very cold that night, but I think I was dressed up properly. And I went to the heart of Tomorrowland, and that's basically when they said, so you're basically going to stand in one spot and you're going to make sure that guests can get in around your area without any problems. But where I was really going to be, or when I was going to be really necessary, was during the perimeter fireworks, which they were going to do again right before New Year's Eve as well. And I don't remember if it was perimeter fireworks they were doing that night, but they were doing Happily Ever After, I remember. And because of the amount of people that were there, they had to have people there that would basically block off certain points. No, this is a huge inconvenience for guests because normally you're used to being able to walk through all of Magic Kingdom to get where you need to go. And can you imagine walking in Tomorrowland and basically being told you have to go all the way around for about 30 to 45 minutes just because they're doing fireworks? I would be frustrated too, but trust me, it's not as frustrating as working at Magic Kingdom and getting out around the same exact time the fireworks are going off. Why? Because, well, let's just put it this way. They set off fireworks during perimeter fireworks, and well, I shouldn't say. Let me start it over. It's not as frustrating as working in Magic Kingdom on the night they're doing perimeter fireworks. Anytime they're doing regular fireworks, not as bad, especially now that they have a ramp that takes you back to World Drive, which made life so much easier because before that there was only one way out, and if that was ever closed off, well, you're kind of stuck, and you would have to go all the way around. But now that they have two ways out, then it's only a problem during perimeter fireworks versus regular fireworks. It's not a problem. So during perimeter fireworks, there's two ways for you to get in. There's the contemporary way and there's the Grand Floridian way. And that particular night that I was working at the during whatever you call it, I was basically doing traffic control for the park. I had to make sure that I blocked off certain ways for guests to go through, but it was only a regular fireworks night. So that meant whoever was leaving the park that night for to go home that night from work could still technically go out the contemporary way if the ramp existed at that time. Only if the ramp existed. Because on perimeter fireworks nights, they set off fireworks off the road over by the contemporary, and they set off fireworks on the road over by the Grand Floridian. On a happily ever after night, they set off fireworks kind of right behind Magic Kingdom over by the Grand Floridian and in the cast member parking lot. And it's actually all run by computers, and they have a professional that's back there making sure that everything is done correctly. They have to do in that certain position and they have to angle the fireworks perfectly so that they are going off right behind the castle. And actually, about 25% of the fireworks that they set off are being launched from the castle themselves. And we always like to tell people that the castle is the one that's setting off all the fireworks. And this is not exactly wrong either, considering the castle actually does set off its own fireworks, which is kind of cool. So, yeah, fireworks nights were sometimes a pain, but the Magic Kingdom is the most well known for its fireworks. Hey, trust me, from the top of Bay Lake Tower, it's worth it, especially since they have their own sound system, which is kind of cool. But yeah, I would definitely say that I was not a huge fan of crowd control, and especially when you had a guest yell at you that they couldn't go out that certain way, and all you could tell them was "you're sorry." It's like, what else are you guys supposed to say? Like, you're just following directions. I mean, at least you got like a cool light up toy. I think I got like a lightsaber one time, and I was able to have some fun with that. I had some cool conversations with some guests, and once you were all done, you got to return all your stuff, grabbed your stuff, and then you went down to the Utilidor a different way than you normally did. I mean, nothing wrong with going down the rabbit hole, but it was actually faster to get to the Utilidors at that point from the heart of Tomorrowland because of the fact that you were already over there. And you always brought your stuff, that way you didn't have to go back later and go get it, and it just made no sense. And especially if you brought like a change of shoes, you weren't allowed to go back over the tracks again once you changed your shoes. I think I one time did that, but trust me, the attraction had been closed for a couple of hours, and absolutely nobody was over there at that point except for maintenance, and they didn't even notice. And it's only because of the fact that I had forgotten something. I didn't want to leave it there all night long, so I only did it one time, but I made sure that it was completely safe before I even went and did that. But I'm normally very careful about safety and all that fun stuff. Anyways, that's pretty much everything. It is getting late. I do need to get some stuff done before I go to work. I might as well go ahead and pack my lunch now before I leave for work and just leave in the refrigerator if need be. But hey, I probably am gonna start uploading at least one of my YouTube videos while I'm gone, and I will try to get the rest done tonight if need be, but at least everything will be done by tonight. And always remember you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. Have a great day. Peace out.